Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to move beyond just looking at single candles to really understand the stories they tell when they're together. We're not just memorizing shapes, we're decoding the battle between buyers and sellers, one pattern at a time. So, how do you actually look at a chart and get what's happening just beneath the surface? How do you really read a market's mind? Well, you do it by learning the logic of its patterns. And listen, this isn't about memorizing dozens of different shapes. It's about understanding the psychology of why they form and what story they're telling you. Okay, so our story of this market battle begins with chapter 1, the pause. This is that critical moment when a powerful, charging trend just suddenly slams on the brakes. And the first sign you'll often see of this pause is something called the Harami pattern. Now, Harami, it's a Japanese word, and it literally means pregnant, which is the perfect way to picture it. You have this large mother candle, and then a smaller baby candle forms completely inside the range of that mother. It's a huge signal that the trend's momentum has just ground to a halt. The cool thing is, Harami can show up whether the market's heading up or down. So, in a downtrend, right, you get a big red mother candle followed by a small green baby candle. That's a bullish Harami. It's basically saying, whoa, let's stop this fall. In an uptrend, it's the opposite. A green mother followed by a red baby is a bearish Harami. It's stopping the rise. The logic is all about halting whatever was happening before. And this is where you really start to see the psychology. An engulfing pattern, that shows raw power. It's like one car aggressively just blasting past another one. But a Harami, that shows stability. It's more like two cars driving perfectly side by side, matching speed. They've hit a point of equilibrium, and the trend has stabilized. Now, if you want to get even more precise, there's a stricter version of this pause called a tweezer. You can think of it as a special kind of Harami with very strict rules. In a tweezer bottom, for example, the bottoms of both the bodies and their tails are perfectly equal. This shows an incredibly precise point of rejection where sellers got stopped dead at an exact price. It's a perfect stalemate. So this pause, this stalemate, it doesn't usually last forever. It often builds right into our next chapter, the fight. This is where that pause turns into an all-out battle for control, and it all revolves around one crucial battleground. And a great example of this is the piercing pattern. It tells this great little story in 3 acts. Act 1, a big, strong red candle, sellers are totally in charge. Act 2, the next candle opens even lower. You're thinking, oh man, it's over for the buyers. But then, Act 3, the fight back. Buyers rush in, push the price all the way back up, and close above the 50% midpoint of that first red candle. They've just reclaimed more than half the territory. And of course, there's the flip side. The exact opposite story is called a dark cloud cover. After an uptrend, the market opens higher, suggesting more buying. But then sellers take over and just slam the price down, closing below that 50% midpoint of the previous green candle. A dark cloud is literally rolling in. So you see the theme here, right? That 50% level, that is the line in the sand. For one side to take back more than half of the other side's progress in just one candle, that shows a really significant shift in power. It's not just a pause anymore. It's a real fight. And when that fight is won, well, that leads us straight into our final chapter, the turn. This is it. The battle's over, the old trend is done, and a brand new one is about to begin. And the absolute classic story of a market turn is the morning star. It's a 3-candle pattern. It starts with a big red candle. The downtrend is still on. Then you get that small candle of indecision, maybe a doji or a hammer. That's our pause. And finally, you get a strong green candle that closes back above the 50% midpoint of that first red candle. That's the fight back, and that's the confirmation. The story's complete. Sellers were in control, they paused, and now buyers have taken over. Now, here's a cool little detail. That middle candle in the bearish version of this reversal, it actually gets its own name. When a hammer shape appears at the top of an uptrend, we call that a hanging man. By itself, it's just a little warning flag. But if the next candle is red, it confirms that weakness and becomes part of that bigger reversal. And that entire pattern is the evening star. It's the bearish twin of the morning star. It follows the same logic. A strong green candle, a small candle of indecision at the top, the star, which is often a hanging man, and then a strong red candle confirming the reversal. So just as the morning star signals a new dawn, the evening star pretty much signals nightfall for the uptrend. Okay, so let's zoom out and put all this together. Instead of just memorizing individual patterns, we can visualize this whole battle on a single spectrum of strength. I want you to think of it like a tug of war. On one far end, you've got a green Marabozu. That's total buyer dominance. As their strength weakens, the candle bodies get smaller and smaller. Eventually, you hit a doji. That's equilibrium, the point of maximum fight. Then, as sellers start to win, you get bearish candles like a gravestone doji until you reach the other far end, a red Marabozu representing total seller control. See, every pattern we've talked about is just a snapshot of this ongoing battle. And this all leads to probably the most important rule of all. Before you even think about trading or trying to predict what's next, your number one job is to master identification. Learn to read the story perfectly first. Application, that comes much, much later. So here's the key takeaway. The next time you open a chart, don't just see green and red shapes. Look for the narrative. Ask yourself, is the market pausing? Is it fighting? Or is it turning? Now that you know the logic, what story are you going to see?